April 29, 1986, Lawton, Oklahoma. A 50-year-old housewife is killed in a flaming car crash, which is initially ruled to be an accident. However, her husband uncovers strange evidence suggesting that her death might be something far more sinister. After that, the trail went cold. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the debut episode of The Trail Went Cold, a brand new podcast which will be tackling cold cases and seemingly unsolvable mysteries. I am your host, Robin Werder, and if you are a regular reader of Cracked.com or Listverse.com, you might recognize my name, because between the two websites, I have published over 100 articles. I have done a lot of pop culture and film-related articles at Cracked, but I have also written some true crime and mystery stuff for them. One of the most popular articles at Cracked was The 6 Creepiest Unexplained Phone Calls, which was published in Halloween 2014 and thus far has over 3 million views. However, the majority of the articles I write for Listverse.com are crime and mystery related because those are the subjects which are most popular with Listverse readerships. So I have published a lot of articles about those topics there and wound up researching and covering a lot of mysteries and cold cases. And that's exactly what I want to do here on The Trail Went Cold. There are a lot of great true crime and mystery podcasts out there, but I want to cover cases which ordinarily don't get put into the spotlight. I want to cover some of the more obscure ones. But before I get started, I just want to give a special thanks to McGill Foote, who has edited together and assembled this podcast for me. Gil and I are co-owners of a pop culture website called The Back Row, and we have been recording our own personal podcast called Shouts from the Back Row for over 5.5 years now, and this is my first foray into a true crime and mystery podcast, and I'm pretty excited about it. And I also want to give a shout out to Vince Nitro, who composed the awesome creepy music for this episode. So with all that out of the way, let's begin. I hope you enjoy this. Now, the first mystery I will be covering today, it's pretty obscure, but it actually got put into the spotlight on national television nearly 30 years ago on an episode of a TV show you've probably heard of called Unsolved Mysteries. And if you're listening to this podcast, I'd wager that you probably agree that Unsolved Mysteries was one of the most awesome shows in the history of television. Unfortunately, Unsolved Mystery segments are pretty hard to find these days if you're trying to watch them online. There used to be hundreds of segments of Unsolved Mysteries available for viewing on YouTube, but around 3 years ago, their production company, Cosgrove and Mirror Productions, just decided to take them all down. And if anyone tries to post them again or upload them back to YouTube, Cosgrove Mirror immediately pounces on them and gets them taken down. I would have loved to have done a video analysis of today's case and used some Unsolved Mysteries footage, but this is a much safer way of doing this. There's no risk of being pulled because of copyright infringement if I just do it in podcast format. So enough about that. Let's start talking about the case in question. The case I'm going to be talking about originally aired on Unsolved Mysteries on November 29th, 1987, and it's pretty notable because it also happens to be the very first episode that was ever hosted by Robert Stack. A lot of you out there might not know, but Unsolved Mysteries actually started off as a series of specials on NBC before they turned it into a